Hi Sumabala, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, Rakesh.
Okay. Can you tell me something about yourself?
Okay, I have total 5+ years of experience. Initially, I have started as a mainframe developer. I worked as a mainframe developer in start of my career, like 1 to 1.5 year.
Mm-hmm.
Later, I got some gap due to some personal reasons, family issues. So later, I wanted to actually switch to technology because there is some reason like mainframe is bit old technology, and however, I was not that much interested in that. So I started to explore various options, and I found software testing is actually a better choice for my career, and it was quite interesting. So I actually, took some very good courses and from different sources, and I have done a little bit of hard work in that. So initially, it was very much difficult because as being a developer, I want to switch to the testing role. Like every company will see, yeah, you worked as a developer, so why you want to switch to testing? So like some companies even rejected as like they initially they expect manual testing background. So I worked a bit hard to come into the sector, but later, due to my hard work and all, I was now in a better position. I was working in one of the company with actually package with the market standards. So this is how I learned testing automation and all. So currently, my I worked on tools like Cypress, Protractor,
Mm-hmm.
and using JavaScript framework. I know the basics of Selenium, but I didn't got chance to work on that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so currently I'm working in a company where my role is an automation tester. I used to
Okay.
automate the user stories with the
Uh-huh.
protractor.
Okay. Protected. So how many test cases do you automate every day?
Actually, in my scenario, in my project, there were no manual test cases because it's an independent testing company where manual testing is being done by some other QAs,
Okay.
uh, which they, yeah. So after completion of manual testing, they release the product for automation for us.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we don't have. I mean, they have manual test cases, but they didn't share with us. But
Okay.
our point is like we have the acceptance.
Mm.
In acceptance criteria, they used to mention each and every functionality in detail. So whenever if we get any doubt, we can actually have that facility to ask to the business or ask to the clients,
Mm-hmm.
can rectify that. So based on acceptance criteria, we are directly creating the automation test cases in Protractor.
Right.
Yeah, so
So
we,
yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So based on the, not on test cases, but like user stories, I
Mm-hmm.
have one more team member also working in my project. So
Okay.
based on the capacity, they will actually create the, assign the user stories, and we will distribute among ourselves, and we start working on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How much confident, or let's say, if I tell you to rate yourself in the knowledge of Cyprus from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. So, how much will you rate yourself?
Yeah, actually, extensively in the sense I didn't work that much extensively, but like almost 1.5 year I have worked on that on UI side, on UI automation side. I can rate myself 3. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, having knowledge of 3 out of 5 in Cyprus, and you have a sort of knowledge in Selenium as well, right? So, can you tell me the advantages or benefits of Cyprus over Selenium?
Yeah, so basically, uh, I actually cannot compare that much the both the tools because there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
misunderstanding will raise, because Selenium is basically, it was present over a decade, and a lot of documentation was available for it, and there was a good community for that. But the Cypress is an upcoming tool. Basically, the companies are using it right from last 2 years, I guess. It's basically an upcoming and mainly used for Angular JS applications and non-Angular JS applications. Basically, it's a modern automation framework. So if I want to tell the advantages of Cypress to Selenium, it is a bit faster than Selenium. It is not much complicated than Selenium. And I can tell it has various time travel feature. I mean, it will create the video recordings, and it will automatically create the snapshots of the every test. And even the framework, if you see, for Selenium, we have to actually create the framework from scratch. We have to create some TestNG or JUnit, whatever it may be. And we have to actually get all the dependencies from MVN repository, and all this stuff will take time. But Cypress is inbuilt have the framework, Mocha framework. So once you install it, the framework will come automatically. The only thing is you have to get hands-on with the tool and some of the JavaScript basics, so you can start using the tool. Apart from that, the one more advantage which I feel is time travel feature, easy to debug and easy to understand, less complicated. Yeah, these are the things.
Yes. Right. So the advantages of Cypress over Selenium are, it is fast compared to Selenium. You mentioned it rightly. Time travel option is there. You can see the result of every step.
Yes.
No sleep time required. That is, automatic wait is available default in Cypress. Right. Then debugging feature is also available for developers tool. Then it is less complicated because it directly executes on the browser and it provides video capture option. So these are few of the advantages. Now let's say if you want to access a Shadow DOM element in some particular application you are automating, and you have come across a Shadow DOM element. Now, how will you access that particular Shadow DOM in Cypress?
Okay. Yeah, so there will be some command for that. We can give cy.get of that CSS locator for shadow elements.
Can you tell me the name of the function or the method?
Okay. Yeah, actually, I did not I did not encounter such scenario.
Okay, no issue.
There is some way, but I'm unable to recall.
No issues at all. See, this is a mock interview. This question can come to you in a real-time interview. So even if you don't know the answer of the question, I'll be answering on your behalf so that you can answer this question if it is asked in the real-time interview. Okay. Now, can you tell me what is Shadow DOM actually?
Actually, Shadow DOM is something there are some elements which will be hidden by the parent element.
Correct.
So in order to interact with that hidden elements, first we have to fetch that parent element, and inside after that we can able to handle that inside elements, which will not be visible basically to the for the browser.
Right. So Shadow DOM, when you say, it's not a new thing by any means, and as you have mentioned rightly, browsers have used it from a long time to encapsulate the inner structure of an element, right? And in basically, if you are doing automation via Cypress, so in Cypress there is a function available, method available. There is a shadow function to handle Shadow DOM itself. So you can write your method as cy.get locator, whichever the locator you are using, dot shadow dot find, and that particular locator dot click again if you want to click on that particular DOM element. Okay, so that is how you can use. Okay, now let's say you have to launch a particular website, a web application. You can take an example of Amazon website. Now I want to verify the title of that particular page after getting launched, right? So two things I have to take care in the automation. One is I have to launch that particular browser, and then I have to validate, I have to verify in a sort of, I have to keep a checkpoint as well, that this particular title page should be Amazon or something like that. So how will you do it via Protractor, and how will you do it via Cypress?
Okay, sure. So yeah, first if I tell about a Protractor, We can just do that. When first, not to launch the URL, we have to give a browser.get, and we can actually give our URL, web URL over there. So it will actually launch the particular website. So after launching, let's say you want to validate the title. There was a method called get title in Protractor. So cy.get of get, inside the get we give the URL, and dot then is a function which is basically we can store the object inside that. And yeah, okay. For title, I think we can follow this method, browser.get of that URL.
Yes.
And after that, we can actually give browser.get title, and we can dot then. And that, let's say there is we create a user defined object page title, then we can expect that page title to be a so and so, like any of the title, Amazon. Yeah.
Correct.
In Protractor, we will do like that. In Cypress, in order to visit any particular URL, there is a command cy.visit.
Correct.
So we will give the cy.visit of particular URL so that it will visit that particular URL. And for title, I think we have some method called cy.title. Cy.title, it should have text or should have value, and we can give that particular value. And there is one more method also, cy.url. If you want to do an assertion on the URL itself, we can give cy.url should have text or should equal to respect to your expected URL name. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. So we have cy.title that you have mentioned to get the title of the page, and dot should is particularly the method to basically use for assertion, or for testing whether that particular title, browser title, is XYZ or not. So this is how you can do. Okay. Now consider a scenario where instead of launching a straightforward application, now you are launching that URL. Okay. Now the development team comes to you and they tell you that, Sumabala, sometimes it can be a development dev particular URL, right? It can be sometimes a staging URL. It can be a production URL. Sometimes it can be a UAT URL. So how will you parameterize, or how will you take care of these kind of scenarios via automation?
Okay, so in order to switch to different URLs, right? Okay, so basically, in coming to Cypress, if you want to basically switch to different URLs, let's say if the super domain is same. For example, if let's say I'm in Amazon, www.amazon.com, and I want to navigate www.amazon.com/ some page 1 or page 2, that is actually possible. But let's say if you are changing completely the super domain, I mean, if you are in amazon.com and suddenly you want to navigate to some different URL like make my trip or something, basically we will be getting some cross origin error in Cypress, because it will not allow when the super domain is completely changed.
Okay.
For that, we have a setting in Cypress JSON file. We have to enable that. I mean, we have to set Chrome Web Security as false, so that it will allow to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the thing. And
now this was a scenario where when the domain itself is changing, you are switching from Amazon to Make My Trip.
Okay.
Now consider the domain is same. For example, it's like dev.amazon.com, uat.amazon.com, then prod.amazon.com. The domain is same. Now I'm not sure which URL can be, come for testing, but my script should work for all the different URLs. So how will you handle these scenarios?
So let's say you have one base URL, right? I mean, the super domain is same. So that URL we can actually configure in a JSON file, cypress.json file in the place of base URL. And we can actually visit to the, I mean, in our specs, we can actually override that.
When you mention base URL, you mean to say in the configuration file,
configuration file. Yes,
right,
yes.
Right. You will be mentioning over there. Right. Okay. Okay. Now, after downloading Cypress, can you describe about the Cypress folder structures and which are all the folders that are getting created and what is the significance of each folder?
Yeah, so once we install Cypress, by default, there was a folder structure which will be created with the name Cypress. Inside that, we have features, we have integration, we have some plugins, we have a support folder. We have some integration features. Basically, we have some plugins folder,
Mhm.
support folder,
Support folder.
screenshots. Exactly have to one need to brush up. So screenshots and all.
Mhm.
So basically, pictures is a folder when we want to perform some data-driven testing, or let's say you want to actually get data from external files or
Mhm.
JSON file or text file. We can actually keep that file in that pictures and we can access them in our test script.
Mhm.
So that is the use of pictures. So integration is something like it is a main folder. Basically, we can tell to in order to mention our specs or test scripts. So inside integration, we can actually create some many subfolders mentioning our project name, and inside that we can create spec files, dot spec files. So all the test case files will be inside integration folder.
Mhm.
Apart from that, we have support folder. Inside support folder, we can there is some other files like index.js where we can give some custom commands or reusable commands.
Mhm.
Mm,
Index.js
and
and commands.js is also there in the support folder.
yeah, so, sorry, it's command.js.
No
It's
issues. No issues.
command.js.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just covering up. You are about to answer. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So in commands.js, we can give the custom commands like let's say for every application, login will be the common scenario. So we can actually add a custom command in that in commands.js, and we can call them in our spec file.
Mm.
And screenshots folder will be there, which will actually take a snapshot of each and every spec and will be recorded over there once the test run is completed.
Mm.
And there is another folder which is actually, I mean, it depends on us. We can enable or disable. There is videos folder. Automatically video recording for every spec file will be generated.
Mhm.
If we want to turn off that option, we can actually mention in our configuration.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Now, consider a scenario where you have already tested some particular application, web application. You have also automated it. Now, that particular URL has been launched, it has been released, it is live working, and customers are using that particular thing. One of the bug that they are getting is if they are accessing some particular functionality over here, you can tell, let's say, if they are filling up some kind of forms. So first time, second time, third time, there is no error coming up in filling up those forms. They are able to fill that form and they are able to submit that form successfully. But the fourth time, when they are trying to upload or submit that form, there is an error getting generated. So it is not coming for the first three times, first, second, third time, it is getting passed. At particular fourth time, it is getting an error. Then again, fifth, sixth, seventh, it is getting passed. At the eighth time, it is getting an error. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So how will you automate this scenario? Do you want me to repeat this question?
Yeah. Once.
Okay. Okay. Let's say there is a URL which has been tested by you. You have also automated it. Now it is released into the production. Okay. Now, when it, let's say it's a kind of a form filling web page and you are able to submit that form also. So if you fill up that form, if you submit that form for the first three times, it is not causing any issue. But at the fourth time, it is causing an issue. So how will you automate this scenario? For the first three times, it is not creating any error. But for the fourth time, it is creating an error. You are on mute actually.
Yeah, sorry, there is some disturbance here.
No issues. No issues. If you
So
have your kid or someone who is crying, you can make them stop and
yeah,
then.
yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So yeah, actually I understood the question, but for the fourth time we are getting error in
Right. Right.
production, right?
Mhm.
So first, actually, I will try to figure out. I mean, I have to try to reproduce that in my environment. So
Right.
first, I
You are
will.
able to reproduce that issue. It is reproducible. Now you have to automate this scenario.
Okay, okay,
Mhm. I'll give you a hint. You can use conditional statement in your automation.
okay. Should I need to perform that 3 times? I mean, my automation as well.
Right, right. So 3 times you can
So
perform.
there might.
Yeah, and
Uh,
you can keep some condition in the fourth time. So you can
okay.
run your script in the via automation. You can run your
Mm,
script, and for the first 3 times, it won't create an error. You can run in the loop for 4 times. In the fourth time, you
yes.
can keep some assertion or some kind of check.
Right, right. Actually, I'm unable to recall as of now.
Okay, okay, no issues. So it is a simple kind of automation. Basically, you can, as I was mentioning, you can run that particular script in the loop of 4 times. In the top three
Okay.
times, you can keep an if condition that if
Mm,
it is counter is equal to 1, then it should
okay.
this should be the assertion based on the confirmation message that you are getting. If it is counter is equal to 2, counter is equal to 3, then also it should pass. In counter is equal to 4, also you will keep some assertion that some error
Right.
message should not come, and the confirmation message should be there that the form has been submitted successfully.
Okay. Yeah,
Like that.
sure.
Yeah. So that way you
Yeah.
can keep. Can you tell me few of the Cypress commands which can be used to interact with the DOM elements?
Okay.
Mhm,
So cy.get is one
mhm,
of the command for actually getting that particular DOM element.
mhm,
Basically, we use the CSS locator in that cy.get.
mhm,
So cy.visit, cy.get, uh, mm, and some other commands like cy.get.find.
mhm,
When we want to find a particular tag, any parent tag, we can use that cy.get.find.
mhm,
Cy.get.contains, in order to verify the content of a particular page or anything.
mhm,
So so there were actually some other commands also, like cy.filter. We can actually filter the elements, DOM elements. If you want to actually, there were some parent tag. Inside the parent tag, we have some child tags. You want to filter based on one of the child element. We can use cy.filter. Mm, oh yeah. So yeah, there might be more than
mhm.
this.
Right, right. No issues. So type is used to type on element or text boxes. Then clear is there
Uh,
basically to clear the fields or text boxes. Click, double click, right click.
cy.click. Uh-huh.
You can be using this particular thing for to interact with the DOM elements.
Yeah.
Okay, now how is Cypress architecture different from Selenium architecture?
Okay, so coming to architecture, actually, Selenium will be actually dependent on the WebDriver architecture.
Mm-hmm,
So Cypress doesn't use the WebDriver.
mm-hmm,
This is the difference because Cypress, I mean, for Selenium, it will be actually whenever we try to perform any action, first it will actually go to WebDriver and then to that particular browser,
mm-hmm,
that particular browser. So what in Cypress actually sits inside the browser and it will execute directly in the browser. It interacts in backend. It interacts with the Node.js server.
mm-hmm,
So yeah, this is the reason actually it is bit faster because it works directly inside the browser. So architecture in the sense, in our operating system, we will be installing the Node.js for to use Cypress. So Node.js will be there and Cypress will be present in backend in Node.js. and our browser. So Cypress test execution directly with the browser. So with the help of browser, it will send a request to the Node.js server and we'll get the response.
Right. Okay. Now, have you used Postman for API testing?
Yes, sir, I use.
Okay. Can you tell me the various API request authorization options methods that are provided or that are available via Postman?
Yeah, so there were various authorization methods like bearer token. We have basic auth, bearer token. We have API key, and we have OAuth 1.0, 2.0. But actually, in our project, I used only the bearer token most of the times.
Okay. And then there is Hog authentication, then NTLM authentication is also there. That is provided by Postman. Okay. Now, what are the various variable scopes provided by Postman?
Variable scope. So we have a global scope. We have a environmental scope. We have a collection level, I mean request level scope also. So if we actually create an environment where we want to actually set as environment variable or global variable, it will be accessed in other requests as well. If we want to set it over a request level, we can actually do that in a collection level. So global scope, environmental scope, like mostly we will use for variables.
Okay. Now, let's say you have to stop or restrict the upcoming request or execution of the collections. So can you tell me the code that you will be using within the Postman?
Okay, means you want to, we should
stop the
bypass the
execution.
collection.
Let's say if some upcoming request is there, so I have to stop its execution. So, yeah.
Okay. So we can, we no need to execute that collection. We can actually skip that collection, right? Entire collection.
You can skip also. And is there any way that you can actually restrict that particular thing, the upcoming request?
Not sure actually. We have some method, I think.
Yeah, no issues. So there is pm dot set next request, and you can pass the parameter as null. So you can use that particular code to stop the execution of the next request in the Postman. Okay. Now consider a scenario where you are using both global as well as local variable in Postman, and by mistake or coincidentally, we have got a global and a local variable with the same name. So what would be the first preference in Postman? What variable will be given the first preference in the Postman?
Okay, so we have like global variable and local variable with same name.
Same name.
Okay. Might be local variable will be given scope.
Right. The higher precedence would be given to the local variable by overwriting the value of the global variable.
Global.
Okay. Now, can you execute the Postman via command line, or does Postman allow you the flexibility to make use of the command line?
Yes, sir. So we can use via command line. We can run the collection. So first we have to export the collection, and we have to save that. And after we saving the collection at a particular drive or any location, we have to install Newman for that.
Newman, yes.
So, yeah, we use the Newman, and there were some commands in Newman which we have to actually execute it with. So we place that collection in particular folder, right? So we have to open the CMD from there, and we can actually give that commands, Newman commands. So there is some reporting, like reporting facility also. We can install that reporters in Newman, and we can able to generate the reports.
Okay. Now let's say you have to test a particular mobile-based application. Okay. So and you have to perform a smoke testing on it, right? So,
Okay.
sorry, not smoke testing, sanity testing on the mobile application. So what all test criteria will you take into consideration?
Okay, so it's a mobile application, right?
Mhm. It's a
Um,
mobile based application and you have to test. You can take an example of any application. So from the
mm,
generic testing point of view, how will you sanity test a particular mobile based application?
okay. So, I mean, it might be any application we can take, right?
Any application. So generic test scenarios for doing
Mhm.
sanity testing on the mobile application.
Yeah, so first we will be checking whether that we have to install that particular app in the mobile, whether it will, we have to check for both Android and iOS platforms as well,
Hmm.
whether the app is getting installed without any issue or not. So after that, we have to check for the login, whether we are able to log in into the app successfully, like how it is like user friendly or not.
Hmm.
So after a login, we will check the basic functionalities are working or not. Some of the thing, I mean, some of the buttons are getting interacted, or some of the menu is getting interacted. So these type of scenarios we will check, and we have to check in landscape view and portrait view in the mobile application. We have to check for Android version and also iOS version, because these are the most most versions which are used. Um, Apart from that, we can also check some performance related scenarios also for mobile apps. Um, like whenever we are using, I mean, whenever if there is an incoming call coming to the mobile, like how the app is reacting. Uh,
Perfect. Hmm.
yeah. These are some of the scenarios we can.
Right, right. So I think you covered almost most of them. Installation and uninstallation of the application in the mobile. Verify the device in different available networks like 2G, 3G, 4G, or Wi-Fi or some hotspot. Functional testing you
Yeah,
will be
yeah.
doing. Interrupt testing, like able to receive the calls while running the application. Then compatibility testing, able to attach the photo and message from gallery, and test application performance on a different handset than different devices like iOS, Android. Then some negative testing by you can also do by entering the invalid credentials and then test the behavior of the application, right?
Right, right.
So those all things you can test. Okay. Now you were mentioning about the automation that you are doing using Protractor. So is it possible if you can showcase about your automation framework that you have been using? Yeah. Is it possible for you to share your screen and show us the
Okay.
automation framework that has been created?
Yeah, yeah. I can share, but okay, fine. I can share,
Mhm.
but I can't tell the about the application due to confidentiality issues. But I
Yeah,
can actually share and show the framework on high level.
yeah. Framework you can explain. We are not interested in the getting into the details of the application or the domain that you are working, but just the framework, the flow of the framework that you have created.
Sure, sure. Yes, sir. Just a minute. Yeah, hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes.
So yeah, actually the framework was created a long back, because I am not a part of framework creation. I mean, I was recently working from last 5 6 months, so it was already created by some other people. The only thing is, I mean, the framework is bit like this. Actually, a protractor is a base folder. Here we have page objects.
Mhm.
In page objects, we have I mean, we have different modules in the application. One is this one, and is CTMS, like that. I mean, there are different testers who work in different domains and different applications. We used to create all the page object classes like DB helper functions. which we, whenever we try to have some functions handy, we used to create this helper functions and we use it in the spec files so that it will reduce the duplication of the code in the spec files. And there are some pages like home page, we create all the like using this prototype model, we used to create that particular locators here. For that particular home page, we locate all the locators. Like that, we create all the page objects in these are spec folders like for different modules. For example, if, let's say if you want to validate some invalid credentials, we create that spec file and we import that functions, page objects functions in the particular spec file so that we can use that. And we create the describe blocks and all the specs so that like each and every functionality we are trying to cover, all this we will get from the requirements only. Based on the requirement, we will directly create the page objects and we will actually create the scenarios, like valid username, valid invalid username, like that. And apart from that, there is a file config.json. This is a main file conf.js, and there is another file because this file we are using in this file also because we have some URL. This is the base URL which we will keep, and some username and password. For different modules, there are different usernames which we create, URL we created, and we will call this URL directly in the spec file. So let's say if you want to use ETMS application, we can directly call this in our spec file.
Right.
So this is our framework basically.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's so good. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Sumamala. I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. Thanks, sir. So thanks for giving me this opportunity. So firstly, so thanks for giving your time as well. Like I am admired by the videos. Like I'm actually getting so much. I mean, not only myself, like many are getting a lot of knowledge from your mock automation interviews, which actually gives confidence while attending the real interviews as well.
Right.
So yeah,
So
thank
thank
you
you
for
so
your
much.
time.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching the videos and the support. And do you have any feedback for the channel? Like what all videos should I create, or what all things should I incorporate apart from this mock interviews or testing jobs that I'm uploading? How can I help the community more?
Yeah, sir, you actually created multiple mock interviews with this Selenium, Java, and all, which I am able to look into that. Like, better we also create for other frameworks like Cypress and all, because these are modern frameworks which now they companies are using that. So it would be better you when you start create on this new tools also. It will be helpful for everyone.
Correct. Definitely, definitely. I'll try. It depends on the CVs also that I'm getting
Yes,
for
yes,
the mock interviews. Generally, most of the people still in the market
yes.
are used to
Yeah,
Selenium plus
right,
Java
right.
only.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
Right? Right.
So
But
shall I get any feedback from you?
yeah, yeah, sure, sure.